Hi, Claire Ridgway here. Now, thank you so much for all the questions that you left in the community tab on the YouTube channel. I asked you to, I said that I wanted to do this Q&A session, and this was your chance to be nosy and ask me more about who I am, who is the woman behind this YouTube channel. And I said you could be as nosy as you wanted, and you have been. You left some wonderful questions, and I've picked a few of them here, and I'll be giving names as well. So yes, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. So I had a few questions about how did I actually get into doing what I do. Hazel Amelia asked, when you were a little girl, did you imagine yourself writing and becoming an author? Well, yes, I did. Actually, it was the first thing that I can really remember, apart from wanting to be a ballerina, which I never even did ballet classes, so that wasn't very realistic. But yes, being a writer is something that I've always wanted to be. I wrote my first really long story at the age of 11. It was called The Secret Island. That was followed by Death on the Slopes, where I got bored and killed everyone off. And quite a few sort of romances and murder mysteries. I've got loads and loads of manuscripts, handwritten manuscripts in boxes. So yes, I always wanted to be an author. Then I had questions from Miguel and Gretchen about how did I actually get into studying Tudor history in the first place and what sparked my interest in the Tudors. Well, I did a project when I was 11 on Henry VIII and his 6 wives, and I was very, very drawn to them. When I found out that this man had had 6 wives and executed 2 of them, he was such a larger-than-life character. It really drew me into the Tudors. And then I studied at secondary school. I did history, and we did a whole unit on the Tudors, and then we did the Reformation. And at university, as part of my degree, I also studied the Reformation. And it was something that I've always been drawn to, and always been a hobby and something that I've read about on the side of other jobs. And then, yes, in 2009, a dream that I had about actually being in the crowd at Anne Boleyn's execution really hit me, and I woke up just knowing I had to start a website called the Anne Boleyn Files and research and write about the life of Anne Boleyn. And it snowballed from there, and yes, it snowballed from Anne Boleyn to the Boleyns in general and Tudor history in general. Now we're getting into some real nitty-gritty here. Cheryl wanted to know how and where did I meet Techie Tim? And Regina wanted to know how long have you and Tim been married and how did you meet? Oh, well, I was in my final year at university, the University of Warwick, and Tim was in his first year. And Tim and I were in the same hall of residence. He was just down the corridor from me. And one of my first memories of Tim, apart from seeing him when I was watching Home and Away or Neighbours in the common room, apart from seeing him come down the stairs with his saxophone on his back or with his sports kit on his back, the first memory I have of him is him looking at my rice in a saucepan on the hob in our shared kitchen and saying, "Your rice is done."
And being helpful.
No. Being really annoying, because I knew my rice was done. I was just busy doing something else. I was like, annoying. And then we were all sat around a kitchen table. Tim will correct me if I'm wrong here, but we were all sat around a kitchen table, and everybody from our sort of our corridor, all talking about romance. You know, what did romance mean to us? It's one of those late night talks that you have. And I remember saying, I haven't got any romance in my life. And Tim piped up, "Well, I'll show you some romance." So, yes. So he said, "I'll take you on a date." I was like, "Oh, okay. Don't really know you, but okay." And yeah, we went out to Pizza Land, it was. It was a really cheap meal because I'd got coupons. And yeah, we just got on really well. And 6 months later, we were engaged. And 2 years after that, we were married. And it's our 25th wedding anniversary this year. And we've been together 27 years. So yes, and actually, He was my first serious boyfriend as well. Before that, my record for relationships was 2 weeks. So I'm doing so well at 27 years, aren't I? Okay, Sarah or Sarah, I'm not quite sure whether she's a Sarah or Sarah, wanted to know if I retired from teaching to take on my current work. I taught for a few years. I was a primary school teacher, but then I actually gave up teaching and became a full-time mum. And I never went back to teaching, being a classroom teacher. I was a teaching assistant for a while, and I've done various other things, but no, I didn't retire from teaching. I was doing freelance writing before I actually started the Anne Boleyn Files and my writing career and doing these vlogs and blogs. So no, I didn't retire from teaching. I just changed career paths. Now, the next question is one that quite a few people asked, Revital or Revital. Amanda, Michelle, Andrea, Sarah, all wanted to know what I'm doing in Spain, why do I live in Spain, how long have I lived in Spain? Well, Tim and I made the decision sort of 2005 that we were fed up, actually, in the UK, that we were... we were living at the rat race, really. Money was coming in and going back out again. Tim was self-employed at the time. I was doing some teaching assistant work. And it was just, yeah, we just felt we were stressed. We didn't have the life that we wanted. So we decided to move away from the UK. And we didn't pick Spain. We looked at various countries where the cost of living was cheaper, where we could do what we wanted to do and have family life. And we came on holiday to Spain because my brother was living in Spain at the time, and it was February 2006, and I remember sitting on a beach and turning to Tim and saying, why don't we add Spain to the list? Because the cost of living here is cheap and it's got a lovely lifestyle. So Spain got added to the list. Fast forward 6 months and we were moving here. We actually moved into our house here. So it was all very, very quick and we've never looked back. So that was in August 2006 that we moved here. We absolutely love it. It wasn't an easy decision to make, but I suppose in a way it was a no-brainer. It ticked all the boxes. Yes, so we live here. And Mouthwash Typhoon, I do love that name. Mouthwash Typhoon says, do you speak fluent Spanish? Sí, claro. No, I don't. I'm learning. Every day I'm learning. I do Spanish lessons. I practice with my Spanish friend Anna, who is wonderfully patient with me. I know enough to live here and to get by and to be able to read Spanish and to help children. I can't really help them with their university homework, but I know enough to live here and to get by. And I'm learning more every day. Amanda wants to know, what do I do and what does Tim do for a living? Well, I do this. I do these vlogs. I write blog articles. I write books. And I run the Tudor Society as well, which is a membership site for Tudor history lovers around the world, a subscription site where we put people in contact really with experts, expert speakers. There's a magazine. So that's what I do for a living. Tudor history is my career. Tim supports me in that by helping me, and he's also a publisher of historical books. So everything is history. Oh, and Tim's also a musician. He plays in a ska band as well at weekends. So at weekends, I put the Tudor history away and I become a scarette. I'm a groupie, and I go off and support him in his music and have lots of fun, lots of dancing. Now, I don't know how to pronounce this name. Izuk and Sarah both want to know about my family. Are my fur babies my only family? Yes, we have got 4 dogs, Bonnie, Peeper, Judd, and of course Teasel, who you all know. We've got 3 cats, Ariadne really, Oreo and Majesty. but we have got children as well. Our eldest son, Christian, lives in Moscow and is an English teacher there. He lives with his wife and our grandson, Eden. And then we have Verity and Joel. Verity is in her second year at Granada University studying comparative literature. And Joel is in his final year of high school and is hoping to go to Granada University to study geology in September. So not just fur babies, children as well, and grandchildren, one at the moment. Now, I really love April's comment and question. April said, I noticed that you were, I like this, a pretty cool chick. I'm sorry, I'm not a pretty cool chick anymore. Nose stud, longer hair, and now you have some ink. Do you have any other tattoos? Well, April, I'm sorry, I'm probably not very cool anymore, but I still have got my nose piercing, actually. I'm not sure whether you can see that. But I've just gone smaller, and with glasses and with the video camera being far away, you can't see it really. I've got quite a few other piercings as well, I think. Have I got 10, Tim, did I count? Quite a few, mainly in this ear. Yeah, when I get bored, I go and have something pierced. And I've got 3 tattoos. The one that you always see, the inscription of Anne Boleyn. I've got Stitch from Lilo and Stitch and the Ohana motto on my shoulder. Stitch is my spirit animal, really, if you could call a little alien your spirit animal. And I've got a raised tattoo on my belly, which I will not get out. So that would be a whole other kind of YouTube video for you. Green Eye Charmer, another great name, wants to know if I will ever branch out and start talking about a time period earlier than the Tudors. I sort of touch upon late Plantagenet sometimes, but Tudor history is my specialism. It's my passion. It's what I write about. It's what I research. So no, not at the moment. Sue wants to know if I could go back in time as an eyewitness, what event would I like to see? Oh, that is so hard because there are so many I'd like to see. I definitely wouldn't want to go and see Anne Boleyn's execution. I'd like to see the Field of Cloth of Gold, the wrestling match between Henry VIII and Francis I. That would be good. Anne Boleyn's coronation procession, and also her coronation banquet, but not her coronation because that was very long and I think I'd fall asleep. On the same kind of theme, Rebecca has asked, what is one Tudor-related question that you wish you could pop back in time to get a definitive answer to? Oh, well, either Anne Boleyn's birth date, I want to know when she was actually born, or what really happens in 1536. I believe that Henry VIII was responsible for her fall and that Cromwell was his servant doing it. So I'd like to know for definite whether my personal opinion of that is right, or whether Cromwell manipulated the king. So that's something that I'd want to know. Then we have Evelyn, or Evelyn, who says, if you could travel and spend one day with Anne Boleyn, at what age and what period of her life would you want to meet her? Oh, I'd like to pick a day, perhaps when she's at Hever and come back from France before she goes off to the English court, and she's just relaxing at Hever with her family. And perhaps we could have Thomas Wyatt visiting as well, reading us some poetry, and George Boleyn writing and reading some poetry. Or I'd like to be at court when she's queen and she's got her circle around her, and the likes of George and Thomas Wyatt and all these kind of learned people, and they're being witty and charming and intelligent. And I probably couldn't take part in the conversation at all, but I'd like to be there for that. Han Hazard wants to know who's my favourite Tudor monarch and why. Elizabeth I. She's the daughter of Anne Boleyn, so that's that link there, because obviously my historical heroine is Anne Boleyn. Elizabeth I, she was such a tough cookie. Well, they all were, really. But yes, I mean, she's in her youth, she got imprisoned in the Tower of London. She was house arrest at Woodstock. And she kind of rose from being this traitor's daughter into having all this, like the scandal of Thomas Seymour and rumours and being implicated in plots and that. And she rose from that to become queen. She certainly wasn't perfect. I can't condone the treatment of Catholics later on in her reign, but what an amazing woman for her time. Then Tuija wanted to know if I had to pick another royal family or period in history besides the Tudors to focus on, what would you pick? Can I cheat and pick two? When I was a primary school teacher, I taught a topic, invaders and settlers, and we did the Romans, the Vikings, the Anglo-Saxons, the Celts. And I absolutely loved the Romans. I loved teaching it. The children got really involved in it. We went and visited Roman remains and that. And I just thought it was fantastic that they had like underfloor heating and running water, and that they were so kind of ahead of their time. And then, you know, once they'd left England, it kind of all went downhill. I just loved the Romans. But also I love the Victorian times as well. Not so much Queen Victoria and the royal side of things, but Victorian life. I love reading Charles Dickens, and so yes, the Victorians and Victorian life, that really interests me. Then Louise has asked me if they were to make another film about Henry VIII and his wives, which actors would I choose to portray the main characters and why? I actually haven't got a clue. I really liked Jonathan Rhys-Meyers as Henry VIII. I just wish that they'd replaced him later on in Henry's life. They didn't actually do a very good job, I don't think, of making him the old Henry VIII. But I thought he was perfect at showing how Henry VIII, how people could fall under his spell, how he could be loved, how people were willing to die for him. He showed his charm, his arrogance, his wit, his intelligence, and the bad sides of him, his brutality. I thought he was really good. And I loved Natalie Dormer as Anne Boleyn as well. My favourite actress at playing Anne Boleyn was Geneviève Bujold in Anne of the Thousand Days. So I'd like to kind of go back in time and somehow bring her back to play Anne Boleyn, because I can't think of anyone now who I would cast, and I really don't know for the other wives. I'm so sorry. I've been racking my brains trying to think, and I just can't think of who I would choose. I did like Jolie Richardson as... I really liked Jolie Richardson as Catherine Parr in The Tudors as well. I felt that she played a very intelligent Catherine Parr. And I liked Joss Stone as Anne of Cleves as well, because, you know, Anne of Cleves wasn't ugly. She just didn't fit in perhaps with what people saw as, you know, the English standard of beauty. But then I don't think she was ugly anyway. I don't think anyone thought she was ugly. That was down to Henry VIII's humiliation. So I'm sorry, I can't really think, but I'd love to know who you think. So do leave comments below. Nada asked, are you still working on your book about the fall of Katherine Howard? If yes, how soon do you expect to finish writing it? This is a book that I have been putting on hold since, I think, 2012 or 2013. I started it as soon as I finished The Fall of Anne Boleyn. The research is all done. I've got all the notes, but I haven't actually started writing it yet. And that's because I kept putting it on hold for other projects. My main project at the moment is book-wise, is a book that I'm writing on Hever Castle with my co-writer, Dr. Owen Emerson, who's the castle supervisor. It's a fab project. It's wonderful because I love Owen. He's one of my best friends. We talk every day, and it's just such an honour to be writing a book with him. So I've put Katherine on hold for that. Perhaps when that's out of the way, perhaps I will go back to Katherine, because I really want to tell her story. I can't write a biography of Katherine Howard because there is no way that I could do a biography as well as Gareth Russell's book. His has got to be the Katherine Howard Bible. But what I can do is look at her fall and do a countdown, a bit like what I did with Anne Boleyn's, just to show how the events unfolded and what really happened. Cindy and Ashley also asked me questions about book writing. Am I writing another book? Am I going to write any more books? So yes, Hever Castle book is the focus at the moment. Then perhaps Katherine Howard. And I've got so many ideas. I think I'd like to write another kind of helping of On This Day in Tudor History, based on the research that I've done for these videos, for my On This Day videos. I don't know, on this day in Tudor history, something bad happened and it could just have bad stuff. Is that a bit too miserable? Or just on this day in Tudor history, a second helping? So yes, that's another book idea. Then Mary Hubble, this is the last question, asked, what is your favourite place to go to in the British Isles and why? Okay, so I'm in Spain full time, but I do go back to the UK to do the tours that I run with Philippa from British History Tours, the Anne Boleyn experience, the Elizabeth experience, and the others that we've done and will be doing. So I get to go back to the UK quite a lot. My favourite place is Hever Castle, because the Boleyns being so important to me, and that's where I get a real sense of them there. Plus my bestie is castle supervisor there, so yes, I just love being there. Other than that, I love Stratford upon Avon. I grew up 12 miles from Stratford upon Avon, so I love going back kind of to my other home, my old home. It's a beautiful place anyway, with all of its Tudor buildings and the whole Shakespeare aspect. But I love the British countryside as well, the moors, the Bodmin, the Peak District. I love moorland and I love the sea. So perhaps Cornwall and Devon for the coastline, Exmoor, Bodmin, Peak District. Oh, so much. And I'd love to go back to Scotland. I haven't been to Scotland since I was a very little girl. I'd love to tour Scotland. I love Outlander, you know, early Outlander, all those amazing places. So, yeah, perhaps I need a really long holiday in the British Isles to just go everywhere that I've just said. I know I haven't covered everyone's questions. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to pick out a few. I hope that this has quenched your curiosity, and I hope that this has sort of made me perhaps a bit more human and not just the lady that talks about history. I am human, and I really exist, by the way. I had someone say that they didn't think I really existed, that Claire Ridgway didn't really exist. I thought that was a bit odd, but here I am. I am Claire Ridgway. I do live in Spain and I do research and write about history and talk Tudor as well, till the cows come home. Anyway, I will see you very soon. Keep safe and well. Bye-bye.